Hey, it's Yash. Look, when we have neurological disorders or chronic pain, these are heavyweight elements, heavyweight situations. And there's things we can do on a holistic level, on a natural level, that can help buffer and reduce the symptoms that derive from these kind of deep disorders. And the main thing we have to do is conserve our life force. This is the main thing. Otherwise, we're just going to be constantly dependent in waiting for the next medical cure. Well, there's no cures. Medical treatment that's going to come out, that's going to do something, or the next pill, or whatever. Now, I'm not against operations and pills. Like God put them here. Like they serve their purpose, but people depend on them far too much. And they don't give you peace and serenity. Pills, operations don't give you peace. There's a way to be at peace and be serene even if you have the most severe neurological disorder, nervous system disorder, such as Tourette's or OCD or dystonia or schizophrenia or bipolar, whatever. But we somehow see these people super motivated if they're smart. If external things stop working, there might be some grace may activate this light bulb in you that says, whoa, I need some help, God. Show me what to do. And there's two things. You can say prayer or asking this higher power to help us, going direct to the source, but also earthbound level. Earthbound level, we need support. So how do we do that? By conserving our life force. There's two main ways we lose our life force. Through wasting our sexual energy and the food that we eat. I've talked before about the food we eat, so now we're going to talk about preserving our sexual energy, and this is men and women. If we're watching porn or excessive masturbating or promiscuous sex or sexual fantasy or looking at stuff online to give us a hit, this is all dopamine addiction. It's like any drug. The dopamine, that's a heavy drug. And that drug's inside our brain. We don't have to go to a dope dealer to get it. There's certain things we can do and look at that activate a release of this dopamine, and then we get high. And then that gives us an escape from these horrific symptoms that some people have who have chronic pain or neurological disorders, because it's a very hellish life. You just want to escape. I understand. So then they say, so you're asking us to stop doing that, stop doing our escape stuff, then we're really going to suffer. What sense does that make? Yeah, I know. From the level of mind, it doesn't make any sense. It seems like it would be worse to do. But grace has to touch somebody somehow inside. And you got to start trusting that there's a greater power that is somehow looking after you and taking care of you. And the more we purify ourselves and get rid of these escapes that just cause more pain in the long run, the more we're willing to do that, this power will somehow, it gets revealed more in us. It's like when we're doing these bad habits, we're covering up this universal power. When we stop doing that, this universal power can start to heal us, or at least shift our perception in a way to where we're not so identified with our painful symptoms all the time. It's like, but we got to be aware that the power's there. We have to start talking to this power instead of talking to our mind and talking to doctors and having false dependencies on human power, because it's not gonna give us the ultimate satisfaction that we're looking for. Only access to this universal power or God power, that's going to help us. So when we start preserving our sexual energy, you're going to find that it's like that life force is going to start to rebuild your mind, your nervous system, your physical body, your emotional body is going to get more balanced, everything. Now that's going to take a little time though. At first I just made a video on my Beyond the Alchemy channel about, it hasn't came out yet, it's coming, purification. it can be a messy process, this whole purification process. But we got to bear that and go through it. See, if we've been acting out on addictions for too long, then that throws things out of balance, and it takes a little bit to come back into a balance. We got to purge those poisons out of us, all the damage that these addictions have done to us on a mental level and emotional level and physical level. And we already have a sensitive nervous system, so we're even more prone to the consequences of doing any kind of drug, whether it be dopamine or street drugs, because we already have a sensitive nervous system. So those drugs are they're drugs. And they're excessive, meaning we do them too much, so they're gonna activate. We're gonna suffer more from doing that than the average person, let's say, who has a strong nervous system. That's my point. So it can take a little bit to get back to like our default settings before we started doing the drugs, so that then we can start to increase this semblance of balance that we're after. We got to have an inner passion to want to do that. Our life has to be dedicated to freedom and to experiencing the Most High. The Most High is recognizing who we are beyond this body, beyond this, beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the emotions. So when we start to preserve our sexual energy, our body's going to use that energy. It's going to send it to the nervous system, because it knows the nervous system's already weak and sensitive. So the body's smart. It knows what to do. When it has surplus energy, it's going to send it to the parts that need it the most. In the same with when we eat easier to digest foods and eat less, we'll have more energy, because energy is not being taken up from having to digest hard foods. Because it's all about energy management. We have a limited amount of energy. So the more energy we need to conserve our energy, because we need energy. And then we realize, when I conserve my energy, I have less symptoms. I feel better. So then you're like, it works. So you have to see in yourself that this works. You can't. It's okay if you trust me at first and believe in me, but ultimately you have to see that it works. I'm sitting on rocks and stuff, deep out in the jungle here. And then your life becomes about conserving your energy, because then this car that we're driving, this human vehicle, it drives better. And we're here for a certain amount of time on this planet, so we want the vehicle to drive better. And we get tired after a certain point, at least I did, with all these external, like pharmaceutical, they're not solutions, but what the doctors propose is solutions, because they don't know anything else. They don't know about holistic levels of thinking. They're not trained in that. But this is what we got to do. This is what gives a good quality of life. Now, there's some people who are they're not destined to do this, and maybe they don't suffer the side effects as much from taking the pills as maybe some others do. But I did. I suffered the side effects, and if you're like me, then you know, and you suffer them too, then like, it's a hard road, man. But that's where the motivation comes to look for a more holistic way. If I could just take a pill and it worked, well, I would just take the pill. Isn't that easier than going through the grind and getting rid of habits and all this stuff? Especially, hardwired biological tendencies like preserving our sexual energy. Like that stuff's hard to give up. You can see the people on my channel, Beyond the Alchemy, like they're trying, they're trying hard, because something in them knows that they need to conserve their sexual energy. But the habit of not doing that, it can be strong. And when we try to reverse that and stop doing it, it's like the habit's like, no, you're not going anywhere. And so if we already have, see, people with, when you already have neurological disorders, you're already in a state of stress. So then it's hard to give up these habits, because that's going to create a little stress in the beginning too, when you give up the habits. So then you're already in stress, then this creates more stress. And so then the mind, it's like easier just to do it. Just, I don't want to give up the habit. I'm just going to keep doing it. At least I get a little reprieve. I understand that. That's why it's very, it's very seemingly difficult. And I think that's why this channel, I don't think this channel will ever get too big, because what I'm talking about here is definitely not for the majority. It's just not, man. So you have to do the best you can do, and somebody coming, and then you live. The highest goal has to be, you have to live in your fullest self. That's my point, and that's what I want to convey. And so if you have any questions about that, let me know. Okay, have a good day.